Thank you, Mr. Mohandas Pai and Mr. Subrahmanyam. In fact, after we launched Republic Kannada, so we've been spending a lot of time in Bangalore. So Mohandas Pai, this day starts like this. He wakes up in the morning and takes on the Congress government. Before he goes to bed, he takes on the Modi government. He's a Modi government backer. He's also a Modi government critic, right? Mohandas Pai, how do you manage to be both a backer and a critic and yet outspoken and maintain so many friends?
Well, I think the important thing is to love your country and put your country first like Arnab does. In fact, I want to congratulate you, Arnab, for doing this. This is the new India that we all dream about. An India which will take its standing in the world. We are 17% of humanity, and we must think like 17% of humanity, not a third-rate, third-world country. So we must dream big, create things big, and we must have visible signs of progress. So young people get inspired to think big, because we are the big country and we are going to be the most dominant big country in the world. And the planet belongs to us, not to the United States or to Europe who are shrinking. So thank you very much for this. I think the important thing is to be politically neutral. Praise the government, any government which does work well. Critique the government when they don't do work without having any ideological bias. And look at India first and put the interest of all Indians first. And two, very importantly, contribute personally to all political parties. Anna, the tragedy of this country has been, we are not paying the price for democracy. Democracy is expensive. I was speaking to a minister in Karnataka and he said in the local Lok Sabha election, each assembly spent 20 to 30 crore rupees. In one assembly, they spent 160 crore rupees. You can imagine what is happening in Maharashtra today. They'll be spending 3 to 4,000 crore rupees. So democracy is expensive. Where do they get money? They get money through other means. So the crooked people get money, right? The crooked contractor get money. The contractors give money, and politically they become, immune to all these people because they've got to pay back. I asked a former prime minister from Karnataka, why do you give seats to very corrupt people? Then he told me, man, do you give me money? You abuse me every single day. You criticize me every single day. You don't give me money. They give money. I need money to run the political party. So I give my personal contribution to all political parties for the last 15 years by check. And I tell them, I want my name there. In fact, recently I went to meet a minister in Karnataka. He said, what? You gave money to us? I said, yes. Then one member from Delhi, who's very close to the earlier ancient regime, abused me. I called him a darbari, I called him a family returner, I called him a court jester, and told him I'm one of the biggest contributors to his party, individually. So I think the key is to be independent, to be bold. And I don't believe that we have to live in fear. Though today, Anna, much of business lives in fear in this country. So we need more people to stand up and to believe this country belongs to us. And these people are the people who are there to drive this country for us. And the political leaders are answerable to us and speak up. And if you do it honestly, they respect you. I visit all political parties and have a honest conversation.
Yeah, I'll take one part of what you said. First of all, there's only one former Prime Minister from Karnataka, so you gave it away. Secondly, you said businessmen live in fear. I want to put that to BVR Subrahmanyam because, sir, when
explain that.
Okay, go ahead.
Why do businessmen live in fear? In the UPA era, all political parties use ED and income tax for whatever purposes, okay? I mean, Arnab was a victim of, in Maharashtra, right? They use it for various purposes in the guise of enforcing the law. In the UP era, if somebody came home and did something to you, you could go make a deal with the minister. Okay. In the NDA, you can't make a deal. They don't allow you. And so they got the powers back. But the problem is, there is no end to the litigation. It goes on and on and on. Why can't they file a charge sheet, prosecute people, and close in 3 years? It goes on, and there's rent seeking. I know 3 cases of rent seeking by these agencies, and in fact, I wrote a letter to a very top political leader in Delhi saying that 55,000 high net worth individuals have left this country in the last 10 years. And we have about 3 lakh crores of purchasing power, which has gone away because each of them will spend 2 to 3 crores a year. It is a big worry, not because they're not doing the job, because they're not ending it, and there's no political oversight on them to make sure they do the job. They have to file charge sheet, they have to close the case in 3 years because we are victims of a broken justice system. The broken justice system is one of the biggest challenges this country faces because we don't get justice by going to court. It takes 15 to 20 years. And like our president, Honorable Prime President told the Chief Justice, give justice to poor people. This country lacks justice. So all this has come together, and that's the reason I make this statement.
I want to get a response from Mr. BVR Subrahmanyam to that. You heard what he said. I saw you nodding. I don't know whether you agreed with him, especially on the delayed litigation part, Mr. Subrahmanyam.
Nodding meant I was trying to absorb what he was saying.
Yes. So, do you agree with him that when he says that businessmen live in fear? I don't know whether businessmen want to strike a deal, but he also says that you can't strike a deal today with the government because he's primarily saying that they are not corrupt, right? But is there anything more that the government can do to help speed up the litigation process?
Okay, let me try to disentangle a lot of things which Mr. Pai said. Number one, there have been tremendous improvements in the last decade or so in the way our tax systems and other systems operate. At the individual level, I think the tax system is no longer a nuisance. You not only have electronic filing of taxes, you have faceless assessment. You actually don't know who is assessing you, and the person who is assessing you doesn't know who you are. So that has actually made life easy for millions of people. What is the problem on the corporate side? The corporate side have actually seen tremendous reduction in the tax rates over the last decade. 15% taxes is among the lowest in the world. What is actually the problem is it's not a question of fear. I don't like the way the tax system operates in terms of how it affects me. So the taxes, some groups may feel are too high. Some may feel that, and it's particularly true of the city where he comes from, which is Bangalore, which you have a lot of startups, etc.
Yes.
They are the people who are actually thinking of shifting headquarters to Dubai, Singapore, because they are trying to move to low tax jurisdictions. And it's not just owners, it's even employees. Because when ESOPs vest with them, there are taxes which are going to kick in. It's not a fear of the taxman. It's a fear of a new tax rate which I will be, asked to pay. I think improvements are being made in that. For example, you see the last budget, the angel tax was actually reformed. I think you have a listening government which has got its ear to the ground, and it is modifying things as and when it is required. The movement of rich people or high net worth individuals is actually a global phenomenon. You will find a larger number of high net worth individuals moving from London to New York, from New York to some place in Europe. This is a global thing. People in that category are actually global citizens. They move around. Right. But if you look at the bulk of Indian citizenry and high net worth, they actually live in India. Because this is where the business is. In fact, thanks to things like Gift City and all coming up, I am actually seeing a reverse move of high net worth individuals coming in. But an additional point which he said, which is very, very relevant, and I'd like to mention that. The problem of litigation. I think the problem of litigation, be in the tax area or in general, I think is going to be a big burden on the country. The slowness of the judicial processes in India, multiple levels of appealing cases which go against you, that is going to be a very big burden. The average time of disposal then drags on for years. Businessmen in particular don't like that. They want quick settlement of cases. Even if I lose the case, I want closure.
Correct.
I don't want an unending drag. I think with 3 to 4 crore cases pending in our judicial system, income tax and other departments going in for multiple filings, when they don't like to lose a case, so they just keep going up and up. I think we need to have finality. This year there were some changes in the budget. I think they put a sunset clause, 10 years or so beyond which cases will not be appealed, etc. They put floors below which they will not be appealing. But I guess we need to do much more work. But I see that you also have to realize the thinking of a country which was a poor country is going to be different from the thinking of a country which is going to be a rich country. So I think the transformation is on. Tremendous efforts have been made. I think the thinking at the top has changed completely. A lot of it has yet to filter down.
Yeah. I saw you violently disagreeing with him in the beginning.
I'll give one data because
go on.
In 2014, tax disputes were 4,25,000 crores. They've gone to 12,30,000 crores in 2024, and is increased despite Jaitley telling us in 2014 and putting in the manifesto, tax terrorism will stop. And this angel tax was such a disaster. We have gone and met several times to tell them. They didn't listen, except this time. And it happened this time, I know this, because the opposition put it into their manifesto. And it happened this time because I know what happens in Delhi. We have gone many times. They amended the law 4 times. I met with the PMO to amend the law. They amended 3 times when I was there meeting them because they wrote the law differently because the bureaucrats. You see, the problem is like this. There is a tax research unit which writes the law. The bureaucrats, their secretaries don't read the entire thing. So they write what they want and they want to control it. Anyway, let's do one thing.
If I get you right.
No, let's do one thing.
Okay.
Let's speak about the future. Forget the past. Let's speak about how to grow India to 30 trillion. Let's speak about that.
Okay.
That's better.
Mr. BVR Subrahmanyam, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, some of the points that you made. You spoke of a young population compared to the global population. You spoke of alternate transport systems that are required in India, right? The vision looks beautiful, but looking at India's political system, the political spectrum, you have governments that will go all out to back you in that vision, and governments that will do everything possible to block that vision. How do you balance that, Mr. Subrahmanyam?
I would say that barring 1 or 2 states in India, everybody is aligned with a vision. We have had changes in government in Delhi from 91 till now. Has the economic direction of governments changed? Not at all. One of the things with India is stability in policy. We stick to what we say. And course corrections are there. And if you look at it national level, as I said, barring a state here and there, by and large, irrespective of the nature of the government, people are working hard to actually realize the vision. As I myself have said, the Niti Ayog's governing council consists of all the Chief Minister of India, and it's chaired by the Prime Minister. And that's where he gave a call for states to prepare visions. All states are preparing visions. Even a state like Tamil Nadu, which is quite critical of Delhi, has prepared a vision for itself. So this, and when I just heard Mr. Pai say that Karnataka government has also prepared a vision. I also know cases where there have been changes in government at the state level, but the governments have stuck to the path. So I think you will have minor changes at the margins, but by and large, something which is taking the people forward is not something the political class is going to dislike. They're going to actually embrace it. I actually know a live example where there's been a change in government, and irrespective of change in government, the work is going on.
Yeah. Mr. Pai, you have very strong views. I mean, I've read some of your tweets, and in the south, and when I say in the south, in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, it's become a narrative now for political opponents of the BJP. They say that southern states get a raw deal from the center, right? And there's a huge sentiment built around New Delhi. Do you think there is some basis to that sentiment?
Of course, there's a basis for that. But let's be honest about it.
You feel South Indian states are given a raw deal?
Absolutely. But before that, let me join issue with him because he and I are on the same page about the future of India.
Yes.
Give me 2-3 minutes to talk about that.
Please go ahead.
To build a country, you need 3 things: human capital, physical capital, financial capital. In human capital, we don't have a population issue because you're growing at, fertility has come to 2.0. We're growing at 0.8%. The whole of the south has a fertility of 1.7. Punjab 1.6 because they seem to be going out somewhere else. And by 2035, 1 or 2 states in the south will actually shrink in population. And I believe by 2040, India's population will start shrinking because we are not producing enough babies. Now the population is going up primarily because, we are living longer and more healthy. That's point number 1. Point number 2, the big challenge for India is an aging population. We have 13 crore people above the age of 60 today. It'll go to 20 crore people above the age of 60 by 2030. China has about 25 crore going to 35 crore. So that issue we have to tackle. And if you look at education today, 1,200 universities, 55,000 colleges, 4.3 crore young people in college, 1 crore graduate every year, 28.7% gross enrollment rate, and we have more women graduating than men. In America, 56% of graduates are women. When more women graduate than men, the country changes and India is changing. And if you look at social groups, which I don't think politicians in Delhi look at data, and I would like him to talk about this data because they publish the data.
Yes.
If you look at who are the graduates, SC makes up 18.2% of population, I think, the last census. There are 16.2% of students in college. Tribals make up 8.2%, there are 6.2%. Backwards are 40% of population, 36% of students. And Muslims are 15%, only 5.2%, but that's because of bad community leadership. And all these communities, enrollment is growing at 6.2%. Enrollment is growing at 3.6% for the whole country. In another 5 to 6 years, we'll have 7.5 crore people in college with the GR going to 50. But we are solved the access issue in education, we need quality. So what is the big challenge in human capital? The big challenge is, can we create enough jobs? And let me give you data. Between 2000 and 2020, we had 50 crore Indians being born. We are producing 2.5 crore babies a year. Right now it's come down to 2.3, and by 2030 it'll come down to 2 because it's coming down. They're all entering the workforce, 2.5 crores a year. 1.5, 1.6 crore required jobs. We are creating 1.6 crore jobs as per EPFO. But 80% of jobs pay only 20,000 rupees. We have to increase. So there is a lot of backlog. Today, 45% of the workforce is in agriculture. And in agriculture, remarkable thing has happened. Women make up 63% of workforce, men 37%, and more women are working. PLFS data says women are 45% of the workforce, and thus going up. There's a social churn taking place, and the need for number one priority for India, for Viksit Bharat, should be the creation of good quality jobs. We require different strategy. For example, he must pick up 300 of the poorest districts and create special employment zone and incentivize job creation. Now they got this internship program, which I think is very anemic. It's a good thing, but very anemic, because we must create labor-intensive jobs in the poorest districts where people are coming off the ground. We must invest in the urban sector so that India grows, because the urban sector creates more jobs and taxes. Today, let me give you data. We spend 8 lakh crore as subsidies. 3.5 lakh crores or 4 lakh crores union government. My government in Karnataka is spending 1 lakh crore. We are broke. Tamil Nadu spends 1.42 crores. They're borrowing money to give subsidies. So is my government in Karnataka, because they increased it by 56,000 crores in 1 year. And what we need to do is, we have to spend 50,000 crores on innovation, on the future. We got to spend 1 lakh, 2 lakh crores more on urban areas to create that. Second, I'll finish quickly. Physical infrastructure, we're doing well. Extremely well. We're building highways, we're building roadways, our ports are becoming world-class, our airlines are going bonkers, and we're getting stuck in traffic. In Bangalore, out of 1.2 crore people, we have 1.1 crore vehicles, 35 lakh cars and 65 lakh two-wheelers, and no roads. So we got to build public transport, we got to invest hugely in mobility in areas for infrastructure. But one thing that maybe Mr. Subrahmanyam has to do is, why can't we work 3 shifts in infrastructure? Work 3 shifts. Remove all the labor laws for infrastructure projects of national importance. China in Beijing built a 8-lane elevated road of 30 kilometers from the city to the airport in 11 months. Why can't we do it in this country? Because we don't work 24 shifts. So infrastructure is going. Government is spending $250 billion, 22 lakh crores or so, and that's going up. And incidentally, you'll be surprised. We invest $1 trillion a year in capital expenditure in every year. Correct. We are the only 3 countries doing that: the United States, China, and India. $1 trillion. All this bogus news about private sector not investing is bogus, because nobody reads data. National income statistics give the data. So I think we are in very good shape, but we got to do more. The third thing is about financial capital. $4.75 trillion in GDP in stock market. The czar is here. He's creating billionaires every day because they're going public. We are 267 billionaires in 3 years. Because of him, we'll have 500 billionaires. A lot of people, but make sure they stay in this country. They don't run away to Dubai or somewhere else, which he has to do. And we are creating great value. So capital is being available. We are one of the most efficient stock markets in the world. SIP is coming up. We invest $60 to $70 billion a year in the market. That is solved. Banking system is in great shape. SBI this year will make 75,000 crore net income. The 3 top banks will earn 2 lakh crore net income this year, more than the 3 top banks in Japan, who are 5 times their size. So we got a great banking sector, and we got and the debt markets have to improve. So we got about $10 to $11 trillion of financial assets, $1.5 trillion of gold. Now this is the base. Now 4 or 5 things we should do. Focus on creating high quality jobs. Incentivize job creation first, not the anemic program that he has got. Because
why do you call it anemic?
No, it's anemic because, you're giving some internship, pay 5,000, 6,000, not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to have, let us say you pick up these 300 districts. Get all the labor-intensive industries. How do you judge labor-intensive? Look at the top 10 exports of China. $800 billion in electronics, $200 billion in garments. Get them and ask and make sure you incentivize them to locate there with good transportation, good roads, good power, and give them, say, 2,000 rupees a month as incentive for 24 months for getting new jobs. pay their ESI, PF, which they're already doing, and focus on them like you did this aspirational district.
Yes.
If you focus there, the people coming off the land will come there, and what will happen is the people coming to the cities and who live in the slums will go down, and then we'll pay the true cost of labor. You see, in Delhi, if you don't pay a driver 40,000 rupees, you are exploiting the person. We have to increase minimum wages in the big cities, create a 25% differential to tier 3 cities, so people have labor-intensive jobs in tier 3 cities. I think that's important.
Okay.
And next is remove much of the regulations. Okay. Invest in innovation. Have a 50,000 crore fund a year to invest in innovation. They did a 10,000 crore fund in 2015, which you all went and got it done to the Modi government. It worked well. We got about 1,200 AIFs, 7.5 lakh crores of money which is committed, 5 lakh crores, but
Yes.
we need 3 times that. In the last 10 years, America invested $2.34 trillion in venture and innovation. China, 835. We were $150 billion, out of which 85% came from overseas. So we need more investment, public investment, to create high quality jobs. So I think all these things, last point, the great hope for India is the World Development Report of the World Bank in 2024 said India is one of the countries which will escape what he calls the middle income trap. Why? To escape the middle income trap, we need innovation, we need technology. There are 3 great digital powers in the world today: United States, China, and India. And the US is the digital power because of India. India has $220 billion in software exports, 60% of global outsourcing,
Yeah.
about 7 million people working in software. America has got 10 million people. Out of the 10 top software service companies, the market value, 5 are Indian. Of the 5, 3 are Indian. Of the 3.2 million employees, the top 10, 2.3 million are Indians. 50% of global hiring outside China in software is Indians. In Bangalore has got more people in software, 25 lakh people than California, which is 15 lakh people. 60,000 IT companies, 20,000 startup, 45 unicorns. And this innovation needs investment, which is not doing.
He's not doing.
Investing enough. He's not investing.
Can I get him to respond?
No, let him respond. Before that last point, in my state of Karnataka, we have a minister who says IT. Look at the investment he's doing. Sitharaman is investing 56,000 crore in fee-based. How much in innovation?
Yes.
300, 400, 500 crores.
There's no money for roads. I know there's no money for roads, there's no money for infrastructure, there's no money for schools.
Because we have to invest in R&D,
Yes.
in AI, in quantum computing, in genomics, in many other front, in robotics. We have to invest. And those are long gestation. We have to put money there in a big way, and public investment has to come, because we have spoiled our R&D. We start this National Research Foundation. It's in Delhi. It'll be captured by the leftists very soon, and they'll give money to JNU and all these places which don't do any
You have very strong views, Mr. Mohandas.
No, we need strong reforms to grow to 9% from 7%. We're not going to go to 9% unless he takes tough decisions. Prime Minister Modi has to take tough decisions next 1 year to make us go to 9%. Liberate us from Delhi. Give us a freedom. We got a freedom back after 91.
Liberate us from Delhi.
Liberate us from the clutches of Delhi and all the bad regulations. Give us free.
Many
Invest in
quotable
innovation.
quotes today.
We will get Viksit Bharat faster than you think.
Okay. Mr. Subrahmanyam.
No, first of all, with people like him, we will be on the way to Viksit Bharat. I first of all admire the quantity and quality of data that he's reeled out. I mean, I actually have a job for him. I'm looking for a data boss in Niti Aayog who can process data. But things apart, firstly, a couple of things. First of all, I mean, there were a couple of points which I agree with a lot of things, but disagree with some. Number one, the nation India is a contract. It's contract between regions. It's a contract between people of different classes, communities, that we believe that our future is collective and our future is together.
Yes.
Therefore, the rich pay for the poor. One region subsidizes another region. Different classes pay for some other class's benefit. I think that is the social contract of the Indian state.
Yes.
And so we have to admit that I don't think anybody is being done in. There are constitutional processes which actually come to strike a balance. You have a finance commission which sees that no region is actually left behind. The poorer regions obviously do not raise that much money. Somebody else has to pay for that. And the whole idea is the country can go forward. You can't have a country cannot become Viksit, which if it has deep regional imbalances. Rather than moving people from one part of India to the other, it's better to move money and investment from one part of India to the other. I think that's a larger social contract to the Indian state. Two, I think let me put it the challenges for Viksit Bharat, because that's kind of things where he's drawing attention to, of course, a bit impatiently. Number one is that, what is a our dividend, which is a demographic dividend, can be a challenge or a curse if you do not address it properly. I think that's the sum and substance. While we have people, the people should be equipped to have, competencies which can give them a good livelihood. So that means we need to invest money. And I actually wouldn't care for investment in innovation and all these things. I would say if you want to invest money today, and if you had only 100 rupees, where you put it? I'll say education, 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 and nothing else. You give a guy education, they will last themselves, they will make India Viksit. It's that education which has brought out people like Mr. Pai or people like me to do what we are doing. And I think we all come from very humble backgrounds. The education is what lifts people to that level. We have provided access to universal education. What I think we need to focus is on lifting the quality of education. See that they have basic functional literacy skills. I think so. I think functional literacy and FLN they call it, and numeracy skills. We need to focus on that. 2, we need to see that they are ready for employment. 3, focus on creating industrial sectors which are actually job intensive, which are labor intensive. What would they be? In the initial stages, there will be leather, there will be textiles, there will be a whole lot of such stuff. This is what China grew on. China didn't grow by making EVs and semiconductors on day one. Even the Apple phones came much later. They grew on leather, textiles, shoes, and that kind of stuff. Then moved to the next stage, and then now they are advanced and they are competing with the United States. I think we need to do all three together simultaneously because we don't have much time. Which means we need to make our policies very, very labor friendly, investment friendly for labor intensive industry. Here I'd like to say one point. Bulk of the lifting in Delhi has been done. And when I say Delhi, I actually read Delhi as symbolic of government. When he says liberators from Delhi, what he's actually wanting to articulate is liberators from government.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things the Prime Minister has been doing, when he says, maximum governance and minimum government. Liberators from government. What are the government stuff which actually bother you today? Barring income tax and other customs which are at Delhi, everything is at state level. Your land, your labor, your electricity, your water supply, your roads are all with states. If you see India developing differentially across, it's because of quality of state governments. If a state government mucks up, that state doesn't develop. If a state government is able to provide, I know somebody who, Ola, and I asked Bhavish, why are you setting up the factory here and not there? And he said, they understand industry.
Yes.
Finished. That explains it.
Yes.
Please understand, when you as an individual go for an investment, who do you face? You don't face Government of India. You face states. You face individuals. So people go to Gujarat because Index B actually takes you where you want to be. You go to Tamil Nadu or you go to Andhra, there is something. You go somewhere else, you go to West Bengal, I don't know which door to knock on. You pull back, So I think the next set of change that has to be there. Again, coming back, what are the things? If you have to invest in, as I said, we are doing a lot on physical capital. We have to do a lot on human capital. Who runs schools in India? It's states. The central government doesn't even run 1% schools in the country. Who runs? He mentioned 1,600 universities. The central government doesn't run 100 universities. Everything is in the states. 97% of students in India, because central universities tend to be very small, they're not affiliating universities. 97% of students in India at college level go to state universities.
Yes.
So that system has to be improved. I think steps are being taken. Government of India is trying to fund new education policy, all that. I think the nudge is there. Look at the smart things the central government is doing. I think a couple of years ago, particularly during COVID, they started giving 1,00,000 rupees to states. Additional borrowing, permissible only if you do certain reforms. The whole idea is to nudge them to do the right thing. I think states have figured out. What does NITI do? We produce a large number of indices. We produce an SDG index, trade readiness index, all kinds of stuff. Basically to make states realize how bad they are or how good they are. Because I think the next set of challenges is at state level. If you actually sit down and tick the boxes, what has Delhi not done? Most things have been done in Delhi. As I said, excepting some things related to tax where we need to improve, bulk of the action is in states. You have a very good port, you have a factory, that road of 8 kilometers will be terrible. I don't even want to mention the state. So, that's a big disadvantage.
Yes.
So it's this last mile stuff, that's with state. Who controls public transport in the country? Who runs bus systems in the country? States. If Bangalore traffic is bad, states have not invested in public transport. That's why you have got
Includes
that.
both BJP and
So what I mean is, it is states, and that's where. And I think there's a huge education process going on needed for state political leadership.
Right.
Take Niti, for example. I'm giving you. We prepared a program called Growth Hubs. Cities as growth hubs. The next driver of growth in India is going to be cities. We have left cities to urban planners and architects. When you talk of a city and you talk of anything, you talk of a master plan. Most often violated, not complied
Yes.
with. It will be full of slums where it is written green areas.
Yeah.
Why? Because cities are living entities. Economic.
Director, the taste of success.